Yeah, no, thanks very much, Rich, for inviting me to talk today, and nice to meet everyone. So I am John Gibbons. I work for a company called the Anfield Wrap, which we founded and launched ourselves as a football podcast at the time, specialising in Liverpool Football Club. We started out doing one podcast a week, and it was just on a Monday, talking about the games at the weekend, talking about how Liverpool had got on and, dissected it. And really, it was just like all the conversations that football fans have with each other up and down the country, really. What went wrong, what went right, what should the manager have done, and why did the striker miss that sort of thing. Just the difference was that we were recording it and hoping people would listen. And quite a lot of people did listen, so it grew from there. We got offered a radio show on Radio City Talk, which was up the tower, which is no longer there, unfortunately. But we did that for a number of years, and then we had a website which had lots of writing on it, loads of really good writers about Liverpool and football and life in general. Did some stuff on there, and then we decided that the people were enjoying it. We were putting quite a lot of work in and still doing our full-time jobs at the time, and so we decided to give it a go, really, and to be brave and to launch it as a business and see if it worked. So at that point, we were just doing a couple of things a week that were free. So we said to people, if you want any more, you're gonna have to pay for it. So we were doing around 7 to 10 shows a week. We started doing and saying you've got to subscribe, and lots of people have been enjoying it over the years and liked us, and so said, yeah, okay, we'll come with you. So that was a real relief, really. So quite quickly we realised we had a business, and we've just sort of grown from there, really. Got to 13 full-time members of staff now, close to 100 contributors who come in and out sort of as they please, along with other things that they do in their lives. Video is a big thing for us now. Obviously, we've got a YouTube channel, but also our own service for providing subscription video content. And then on top of that, obviously all the social media stuff as well, and we do a lot of work with other brands and things like that as well. So we did a lot with Nike, for example, when they got the Liverpool kit and they took that over. We did a lot of work with them, helping them launch it in the city. Well, not so much launch it, but sort of make sure that they were having the impact that they wanted to in Liverpool. So we did lots of them. So working with lots of different businesses now as well on top. And so that's a bit of a nutshell on what we do, really. But I'm sure I can get into more of whatever people will be interested in. Yeah, so I'm in charge of our audio content. So like I said before, we've got podcasts, we've got video and writing, and they're the main sort of three streams of the output, really. And I'm in charge of the audio, so the podcast, which is, it's our traditional arm, really. It's what most people sort of know us for still, and it's what we've been doing the longest, and so sort of know what we're doing a little bit more on. And so, yeah, it's my job to make sure that obviously we've got a week's worth of content in there, so there's stuff going out every day, but also it's varied, also that it's what people are interested in. So just before this, I was having a little look at the Champions League, changes to the Champions League, and saying to our producers, should we be doing anything on that? Do we need to be covering that? Obviously on Monday, obviously people might not be into football, but on Monday a big transfer story broke with Liverpool, looking to get a new defender in, and so that kind of came out of nowhere. So you have to react to that, getting people on the phone, talking about it, supporters, getting the journalists on who talked about it. So it's quite reactive, but this is a bit of a break in football. Obviously, it starts again Saturday. Liverpool play against Arsenal on Saturday, and then there's Champions League games sort of straight after that. So making sure we're previewing that, talking about that, and then obviously straight after doing sort of immediate and then a bit more sort of in thought, a day or so later, sort of reaction to that, really. So really it's just making sure that we're covering everything that's important to Liverpool supporters, making sure, if there's people talking about things on social and things like that, there's buzz topics, if you like, that we're covering it in our way, really. And so that's sort of, my main job. But because it's a small business, we sort of get involved in other things, really. So I'm on the leadership team who are in charge of basically the direction of the company. I'm also involved in merchandise because we sell sort of t-shirts and things like that as well, or Liverpool stuff, so help run that. And then I mentioned the partnerships before as well, and that they tend to get sort of dished out depending on who's sort of more suited. So I didn't really get involved with the Nike stuff. That was more Craig and Emery work with us, but I did some stuff with Lee Levi's, the jeans company, when they did a big sound thing in Liverpool, and it was around. It was really interesting actually. They built a recording studio opposite Anfield and helped young people sort of learn about music production, and they were musicians themselves and wanted to create their own stuff. And they have mentors like Lil Kana come in and stuff to help them out, and so we told that story sort of from start to finish really. So that was something that we can do. So varied, and if you find yourself working for a small business, you'll find that often you end up sort of mucking in on lots of other things that are not necessarily part of your job as well. Well, I mean, when I was younger, I went to Calderstones Comprehensive in Allerton. I don't know if people know that. It's a big school in South Liverpool. Went there, did all right in school. I used to like it, actually. I did all right, but also like getting involved in lots of other stuff. So I used to do drama and music and a bit of football. I was on the basketball team as well. So I was got stuck into a few different things in school. And then I went to university up in Newcastle, which is, fancy getting away for a few years. So I went up to Newcastle for a few years and then went travelling for a little bit, taught English abroad for a bit, and then came back. And regeneration was a buzzword in Liverpool at the time, and I sort of wanted to get involved in that. That felt quite an interesting thing to get involved in. So I got a job for the council for a bit, doing some stuff with that. Didn't really like the council. Didn't really sort of. I don't know. It was very big organisation. Obviously, Liverpool City Council, a lot of people working there. A bit of a slower pace than I like to sort of work at as well. So. There was an organisation though that we were doing a research project with the council, and it was all about helping businesses grow and so speaking to them. And so we had a partner who was a business who was helping us out with that, and I found that really interesting. Ended up sort of talking to him, and then he offered me a job. And so it's interesting really because often when you get in somewhere, even if it's not necessarily the right role for you, things can come from it. So that's what I found with that. I thought I wanted to work for the council. I thought public sector is definitely where I want to be. Got there, quickly realised it wasn't for me, but found, someone who I could speak to about other things. And I didn't realise at the time, but he was looking to take someone on. He was just on his own at that point, but looking to grow his business. I thought, well, if I can get a young person in, because I was young then, and this was quite a few years ago, can help me. Then, so he sort of had his eye on employing someone, but I didn't realise. And quite often you'll find that the jobs come up with that, like that really. Obviously some jobs get advertised when people want stuff, but more often than not, you find that people are just sort of keeping their eye out and keeping an eye out for good people or people who they think will fit in well with what they do. So that was the case for me. David, his name was, asked me to come and work with him, and that suited me great because, as I say, I wasn't necessarily finding the stuff with the council necessarily for me. Also, the project we were working on was coming into an end. So I went and worked for him, and so that was a market research company. So when you get surveys through to email asking how people have done and things like that, or people stop you on the street, I mean not anymore, but maybe used to, asking you to answer a few questions, that's what they used to work for me. Basically I used to manage the projects and write the reports, and I used to really enjoy it. It was interesting, it was different. We used to work with lots of different clients. It was interesting finding out about different things. I used to enjoy the report writing because it was a bit like writing essays at uni and things like that, and saying what it all meant. And so I felt like, that was skills, but I never would have thought to get into that really. It just sort of, as I say, something got offered. I thought I'd give it a go, and then I ended up really enjoying it. So I did that for about 10 years. And the company grew, and it was fun because it was a small business and we were growing every year, and I enjoyed that. I felt part of the success, because that's the thing really. The smaller business you work for, the more you sort of feel part of the sort of success and failures really. Whereas a big company, it can just feel like you sort of, going in and clocking in and out, and it depends what suits you really. But I've always liked sort of feeling involved and feeling part of something. So I would have been happy staying there, but we started doing the Anfield Wrap, as I said, and we'd started doing the podcasts, and we just felt there was maybe an opportunity there to turn that hobby into a job. And I never thought that talking about football could be a career, because it's just something I'd always done. Ever since I was little, I'd loved the match. I'd loved going with my dad, and loved talking about it with my friends and stuff. So never thought that it was necessarily something that could be a job. But it was popular. We knew we were onto something. People were asking us for more, so we thought, well, why not? So we just had to be brave and go in and hand me notice in really and say we're going to go for it. And it was I still remember the day because obviously it was a big day for me. And my boss had become a friend, and he wanted what's best for me at the same time. But he was like, "You sure this is you sure about this? It's a big step." And I was like, to be honest, I'm not, but I'm going to give it a go. And luckily I did, because it's worked out really well. It's been a lot of work, obviously, to get it off the ground and to do everything. And we've made some mistakes along the way and took some wrong steps and had to correct ourselves. But obviously we're in a position now which is a very good one, and we feel like we can grow from further. Yeah. So probably the most fun thing we do, and we weren't able to do it last year, unfortunately, was Liverpool do a pre-season tour every summer. And quite more often than not, they go to America, different parts of America, because obviously the owners are American, and also there's a huge interest for Liverpool there. But also they've been to Asia in the past, because lots of Liverpool fans there as well. So Hong Kong, China, different sorts of places there, Malaysia and Australia as well. So we will go along and cover it, and that's really good fun for a lot of reasons. First of all, you're going to some cool places, and often places you never thought to go to. So I've seen Liverpool play in these games sort of all over the world, which is great. You also meet Liverpool fans from all over, and so that's really interesting from a work point of view, because obviously a lot of our listeners are here in Liverpool, but also all around the world. So it's interesting meeting them, getting their feedback on stuff that they enjoy, and learning more about the overseas fan really, and sort of what makes them tick, and how knowledgeable they are, and how much they sort of love the club as well is really fascinating. But I'd say that the main benefit of going is that we get much better access to the team and to the manager and the players and everything. And so because it's the Premier League is intense. You've got the world's media here, and for stuff like accreditation and stuff, it's harder for us to get. But pre-season's a little bit more relaxed. Obviously, the team are all staying in hotels away from the families, so they got a little bit more time. And it's just a bit more chilled. So we get full press access, and we make the most of it. And the club are good to us. They always help us out for big interviews. So we've interviewed Jurgen Klopp 3 times now. The last time was in New York, just before a game. Then one before that, I can't remember where that was actually. And then the first time was just outside LA. So they were playing LA. So we met Jurgen Klopp in this wonderful, gorgeous hotel on this sunny day, and interviewed him outside. And I've got a great picture of me speaking to Jurgen. We're having a laugh because he's obviously got that big grin, and we've got our sunnies on, and it just looks very cool, like a very good day at the office, speaking to Jurgen Klopp about football in the sunshine. And so yeah, they're the most fun things we do. We do live shows as well, which are always great. So you've got 200-300 Liverpool fans who come out, and we sell tickets for that and just sort of have fun and have a big party the night before these pre-season games. So that helps sort of pay for it all. Obviously we take a load of t-shirts over there to sell, and things like that, and hope no one from US Customs is on this. I assume not. And so take all that. But yeah, the access is the main thing. And after games, we're grabbing the players and having fun with them. I used to speaking to journalists with serious questions and kind of looking for the headline or whatever, looking to catch them out maybe sometimes, whereas we're just looking to have a bit more fun with them. Obviously, footballers are young guys, and so they're on social, they're on YouTube, so they're seeing the sort of stuff we do anyway, so they're sort of onto it, and really as we've grown, and so you can have a bit of fun with them really. So yeah, we have a blast for a week or two, and in the sunshine, and never want to come home. I mean, from a basic point of view, obviously when football is your passion, or when you do whatever it is you're doing, because there's content creators in all sorts of walks of life, isn't there? So we make content about football and people enjoy it. But if you go on YouTube, you see people making content about all sorts, really, be that sort of fashion or sorts of makeup or sports or music, or, the people are able to do that. And if you're good and you're popular, people are into it. And so that is great. But, sometimes you do want a bit of a break, especially if the team are losing. We do immediate post-match reaction. I host our post-match audio show And a few weeks ago when it felt like they just kept losing, really all you wanted to do was go out and go for a walk, or put some music on, or sort of take your mind off it. Whereas instead you've got to front it up and do what you do. And so that can be a bit of a drag sometimes, and I think generally speaking as well, when it's your own business and your own creation, you just naturally put a lot of yourself into it, and that's what you need. But also, it's you end up thinking about it late at night, and weekends, you're thinking your mind's on work and things. And so when it is your own thing, there's just sort of pros and cons around that, around kind of as I say, it just sort of, it's hard to take a break, mentally. It's hard, I tried to go for a bit of a walk out there this morning because it's gorgeous, isn't it? And spend some time with my boy, and just take those little moments where, you are a little bit quieter, because unless you're careful, you're just sort of working every hour of the day, because there's always something to do, and there's always another thing that you can be doing to sort of grow. But it's like, where do you draw the line, and where do you look after yourself, really? And so that's sort of something that we've had to learn. And yeah, just generally, if something is in a business, then it becomes one, there's a lot more to think about. And the bigger you get, there's even more to think about. And so we've had to, employ people on the way to help us with, regulations and making sure we're doing things correctly, and and things like that. And so there's always people out there who help you, is that what I'd say? And there'll always be people who can give you advice, even for free, on things, and there's always people who you could bring in if you feel like you can, to help you out with that. But we've had to learn that on the way, when we have needed help. And because not everyone does know everything, do they? So when you've got those information gaps, or you're not sure, learning who's out there to sort of help you with that, is a really key part of life, really, not just work. We're always looking for young voices, because we're getting older, and the people who started it, the guys who started it, and they are sort of, all lads, at first it was just us, and then, you get a few more people, involved, but people, tend to sort of look and be like you, really. And so we found that a lot of our contributors were men about our age, and then so as a result, the audience was men about our age as well. And so to sort of grow our audience and to appeal to different people, we wanted to get sort of younger people involved, get more women involved, and things like that as well. And so there's and that's still an aim. And so there was and is plenty of opportunities for different people, not just younger people, or but different people from different walks of life, because people, when they listen to something, wanted to reflect sort of them and their views and their outlooks, really. And so that's something we're always conscious of. So yeah, we're always looking for more young voices, young writers, people maybe with a fresher perspective that we don't, and to differentiate ourselves. But if you're someone who's a bit shy and you don't necessarily want to be shouting down a microphone like I do, or your face all over YouTube, there's we've got a team of producers that work really hard on pulling everything together, and that's a really important job, in terms of making sure everyone's where they sort of should be, and making sure that the schedule sort of sent out to everyone and things like that. And they tend to be roles that sort of younger people doing things like that, because they've got a fresher eye on technology and things like that as well. Because for someone like me, I've only just learned what TikTok is. I don't know how to use it, but I know that it's important for the business, and so we've got younger people working on that. And so as technology changes as well, people are always looking for younger sort of ideas, and people who naturally know about these things, because they're doing it sort of on the phones or kind of whatever it is, really. Whereas I'm still on Twitter and Facebook, and so it's a lot of that as well. So say producers are important to us, and young producers who are keen, who are talented, and who sort of work hard will always be an asset. Also researchers make us look clever, which is great. And so if I've got a phone call later on today and I'm speaking to a Leeds fan, I'll get one of our young researchers to do a bit of a document for me on what Leeds United are up to. So, how they've got on in recent games, any new injuries they've got, any interesting things that the manager said, which for Leeds United is often, and things like that. And then so that's because I haven't really got time to do all that, really, because I'm sort of here, there and everywhere, and obviously trying to run the business as well as do the sort of content. And so researchers is an important role, and is often sort of done by young people as well. So I'd say, if you are a young person trying to get into media, especially, use your age as an advantage. You'll know things and naturally know things about certain, I say, things of technology that old fellas like me won't. And also, young voices are important because an audience is young, and an audience can be young as well. And as I say, I've only sort of got so much in terms to say to that crowd really. And so I'd say your age can be an asset. Just make sure you sort of sell it in that way, and also enthusiasm is a real asset for young people as well. When you're young, you're fearless, aren't you? And you're ready to sort of dive into stuff, and you're ready to sort of give your all. Whereas sort of an older person might sort of not necessarily have that. And so that's a real asset. For the younger person as well. So yeah, we're always looking for young talent. We're always looking for people who are enthusiastic and keen to learn as well. Because look, we're all still learning. There's things that I'm still developing, looking to develop myself, and so don't feel like someone who's been in work a long time will necessarily have all the answers there. We don't, unfortunately. We'd like to. We're still guessing. You just get a little bit better at guessing the older you get. But yeah, so yeah, lots of opportunities, lots of strengths, lots of positives about being sort of, as I say, young and hungry, and so, as I say, with a greater sort of awareness of as I say, the cutting edge technology.
Oh yeah. So going on to what you were saying then about like getting into the industry and like lots of opportunities and that, is there like a direct route, if you like, of getting like a way of applying? So like the likes of the Anfield Wrap and the Redmen TV, I love all that, to be honest. I look at them and I go like, wow, I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just ask, I'd say, and just be direct. For us, we don't have a sort of a program really as such. It's just people sort of get in touch with us and say they want to get involved, and we're happy to help. Really, it's a little bit harder at the moment, and I understand that because of the sort of the COVID situation, and so our office is closed. As you can see, I'm at home, and so in the past, we had lots of work experience people in, and it felt like, especially in the summer, it was a week rotating and stuff, but there's still other ways. So I don't know what things you're more interested in, Paul, but if you wanted to be a writer, Josh edits our website, and you could sort of submit an idea to him and say, I want to write something about this, and if he's interested, we'll sort of give you a go. If it was more sort of podcasts, if you got in touch with us, say, really keen to sort of do more, we'd give that as an option, and we'd sort of, be up for sort of meeting you and having a chat and throwing you on something like, and I know it's the same with the Redmen. They do a lot sort of with colleges, things like that as well. So it's just a case of being brave, just sort of sending that email or sort of reaching out and just sort of saying, and then once you're there, just have that enthusiasm, have that, desire to sort of learn more, ask loads of questions. Don't feel like you're asking too many questions. People are into that. They think, this guy's really interested. He wants to know a little bit more about sort of, what we do and things like that. That always that's always important. And yeah, just afterwards, after you've done something, say you really enjoyed that. Is there anything more? And just sort of keep asking, and don't ever feel like you're pestering, because for me, like, I am really busy, like, personally, and we are really busy. So sometimes you might forget to go back to someone. So another email is fine, and it also shows the person's keen, and the person, you think, oh, with this guy, in your instance, obviously, like, anyone can get in touch, but so this lad, he wants this. You know what I mean? He's keen here. So you're into that. You know what I mean? So don't feel like you're pestering someone. You can email me straight, so we can sort of get you involved. That's fine. But like, as say, the more, just try and just throw yourself and just offer to do stuff. Obviously, you're doing a lot for free at first and things like that. But I was, you know what I mean? Like, that's that. I mean. Christ, we did the whole business for free for 4 years. Do you know what I mean? And so, it wasn't even a business, but so like you're putting yourself in there. But yeah, I'd just say, just put yourself out there, be confident, be humble as well. Realize that you are sort of new, and so you're not going to be brilliant at first. But as long as you're keen to learn, as long as you're keen to listen, and get involved in stuff, you know. Don't just be like, oh, I only want to do this. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. You've got to have a little go at other things and stuff like that as well, and show keen and yeah, and people will be into it. And what I'd say is, I mentioned Josh there before. Josh come in work experience with us and did a week or two, and we really liked him, and then offered him a job. And now he edits our website, and so he's had like 2 or 3 promotions, and he's doing brilliant, and he's like vital to what we do now. And he was just like a kid from Chester Uni who was looking for a bit of work experience, and so it's just about getting in there and showing how keen you are, showing, as I say, a desire to learn, a desire to get stuck into stuff. Don't turn your nose up at anything, and just be positive, and then say that was great, thank you. What else could I do? And then, before you know it, you'll be my boss.
Yeah, I'm 15 right now, and I'm a massive red light.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into like writing. I've always wanted to like as I say, I've watched News and I've watched Red Men, and I'm like, wow. And like recently, I've started like writing like articles, and I don't know whether you're aware of the Copies on Twitter,
yeah.
but
yeah.
I've wrote an article for them, and the buzz that you get. I was like, I'd shown it to my family, and people giving me feedback, and I was like, wow, like this is a great feeling, and
yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's boss. No, well in. No, it's great. So good on you, though. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, I think, I was still sort of scribbling stuff into pads by 15. I don't think I maybe I did about me to sort of submit. It was fanzines in my day. Yeah, used to, stood outside, and I was always like, oh, could have submit something to there, and I always ended up bottling it, to be honest with you. So well into you for doing that, man. Okay, good on you, and putting yourself out there, because it is brave. You know what I mean? You're there to be like shot at in a way, aren't you? But it's great that you've had sort of positive feedback, and if you were interested in submitting stuff to us, like, Josh would have a look at it, and he'd give you feedback as well. So if he thought it wasn't quite right for us, he'd always tell you why. And sometimes it's a timing thing as well, so don't feel like, oh, they've not used my thing, so it wasn't very good. Sometimes it might be like, if you write something on Mo Salah, well, someone else has written something about Mo Salah that week, or we don't really want to do any more on that at the moment. And so for a writer, like, you'll have loads of ideas, and then some of them will turn into good pieces, and then some of them will end up going on, and some of them sort of won't. But you'll always, if you could, you'll always find someone to sort of publish it, as you've seen. So yeah, feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll put you on to Josh. And if you've got ideas, about stuff you want to write, or anything you want to submit to him to have a look at, he'll always go back to you, and he'll always sort of, as you say, throw it on if it's right for us, or if not, give you the sort of a bit of a feedback. But yeah, no, spot on, well into doing it. But then if we start the right now, we need to get you on podcast. That's where all the cool cats are.
Yeah, I'd love to get into podcast as well, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you talk well, like.
I remember what I love. I remember your Kiev podcast. I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah. But it's stuff like that. If I can, if like that's all right with you, awesome. I'll send you like a couple of articles that I've done, and if that's okay with you, obviously, like.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. My email's just john@theanfieldwrap.com. That's for everyone as well. Yeah. If anything goes wrong or whatever, or you write it down wrong, just ask Rich, and Rich will pass it on. But that's for anyone who wants to, if I can help people, I will, or I'll put you in touch with the people in our business. So it's Josh, as I say, who edits our website, but he can, he'll have a look. I mean, I'll read them as well, because he knows he like, but.
Sorry, has he got like a place to? Would it be better sending it to someone else?
Just send it to me, mate, and I'll forward it to Josh. That's no problem. But I'll look as well, and I'll say I met this lad Paul today, and if you can give him any help, you know what I mean. And Josh, he will, like, he's a good lad.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, I really, really appreciate that.
No, it's time.
Thank you very, very much.
Just remember, and this is for everyone as well. Like, you might think like, oh, the Anfield Wrap or Red Men or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this big thing, but like, people will always help you. Like, if they can. Like, it's sometimes just people are a bit too busy or whatever, or it's difficult, or things like, even like, people like at the BBC or whatever, or anyone you want to. you know, or big newspapers. You know, people will help you. Like most people are sound, and most people remember, you know, the starts that they got, and the people, you know, we all needed a bit of help. Do you know what I mean, along the way? So don't ever be afraid. And this is for everyone to like look at the organizations you want to work in, whatever it is, and reach out to people and say, like, I want to do I want your job, how do I get it? Do you know what I mean? And like, be forward and say, and you'll be surprised how many replies you get.
Oh, thanks for that, honestly.
No worries, mate. No worries, it's fine. Pleasure. And if anyone, you know, wants to follow up with anything, just give us a shout. And yeah, I'll be happy to help in any way I can. But thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Take it easy, everyone. See you later.